In Westeros, power is usually measured in armies, castles, and dragons. Yet, Peter Baelish, better known as Littlefinger, showed that influence can be far more dangerous when it is invisible. He didn't have a great house, a noble army, or a prestigious title. What he had instead was something far more potent: patience, cunning, and a mind that always calculated 3 steps ahead. While kings fought on battlefields and noble houses quarreled openly, Littlefinger quietly pulled strings, making sure every event served his ultimate goal. Littlefinger's genius was his understanding of human weakness. He could see desire, fear, and greed in others and exploit it like a skilled craftsman. He knew that even the strongest armies or the most loyal bannermen could be turned by whispering the right words at the right time. He understood that people rarely act purely on reason. They act on emotion, vanity, and fear of losing power. By recognizing this, Littlefinger became the architect of chaos, a man who controlled events not by force but by shaping minds. From his early days in King's Landing, Littlefinger demonstrated an uncanny ability to position himself close to power. Serving in King Robert Baratheon's court, he quietly learned the habits, insecurities, and ambitions of the elite. Unlike others, he did not need to fight for recognition. Instead, he observed, listened, and collected information. Every secret he learned, every rumor he spread, and every connection he nurtured became a tool he could wield later. In a court where appearances mattered more than reality, Littlefinger understood that perception was everything. One of Littlefinger's most subtle techniques was turning rivalries into opportunities. He observed the tension between the Lannisters and the Starks and subtly stoked the fire. A carefully chosen word here, a quiet suggestion there, and soon mistrust and fear governed decisions. Littlefinger never forced anyone's hand. Instead, he nudged people toward choices that benefited him. By the time they realized the consequences, he had already positioned himself ahead of them. He didn't create chaos for the sake of destruction. He used it as a ladder. His relationship with key figures also showcased his skill. With Catelyn and Ned Stark, he appeared as a trustworthy ally, someone who could guide them through the dangerous politics of King's Landing. Yet, in reality, he was manipulating events for his benefit. By presenting advice that seemed helpful but ultimately served his ends, he subtly advanced his position. Even when he seemed to be acting in good faith, he was always calculating, always thinking about the next move. For Littlefinger, loyalty was never a given. It was a transaction. Littlefinger's rise was not based solely on manipulation of people in power but also on exploiting overlooked resources. He saw value where others did not. The Vale, for example, was an isolated region often ignored by the major players in Westeros. Marrying Lisa Arryn was not a romantic decision, it was a strategic move. Through Lisa, he gained control over the Vale's military strength and political influence, turning a distant region into a critical instrument in his designs. He understood that power was not always about what you controlled openly but also about what you could command quietly. His work with Sansa Stark was another masterstroke. Littlefinger recognized her as a symbol of the Stark legacy, a living token of legitimacy in the North. By teaching her about court politics, protecting her when needed, and subtly guiding her choices, he ensured that she would rely on him. Yet, his mentorship was not born of kindness. It was a strategic investment. Sansa represented leverage, influence, and opportunity, and Littlefinger nurtured that potential carefully, always aware of how it could serve him in the future. Littlefinger's skill in exploiting human nature reached its peak in his handling of chaos. He understood that people act irrationally when they are scared or ambitious. He used this knowledge to create tension between allies, turning friends into enemies without them realizing it. He spread rumors that fueled jealousy, staged events that encouraged paranoia, and orchestrated betrayals that appeared accidental. Every scheme he crafted had multiple layers, ensuring that even when something went wrong, he could adapt and benefit. His manipulation extended to military strategy as well, even though he rarely fought himself. During the War of the Five Kings, Littlefinger stayed behind the scenes, guiding decisions and making deals that served him regardless of the outcome. He did not need an army to influence battles. He needed influence over the right people at the right moment. By controlling key individuals and shaping perceptions, he could affect the war's outcome without ever drawing a sword. Littlefinger also understood the importance of perception. He cultivated an image of harmlessness, of someone who was clever but ultimately secondary. This made others underestimate him, giving him freedom to maneuver unseen. While kings and lords underestimated his ambition, he quietly accumulated power piece by piece. Every secret he held, every manipulation he engineered, and every alliance he shifted added to his invisible empire. Even his rivals often failed to see him clearly. He worked best when others overestimated their control. Ned Stark, for instance, was honorable and principled but could not anticipate Littlefinger's cunning. Cersei Lannister, obsessed with her own power, did not consider that a minor nobleman could outmaneuver her. Littlefinger thrived because most of Westeros focused on the obvious threats, the armies, the titles, and the dragons, while ignoring the quiet manipulations happening in the background. Yet, Littlefinger's brilliance came with vulnerability. His entire strategy relied on secrecy, patience, and the predictable behavior of others. When someone became aware of his methods and could anticipate his moves, his control began to unravel. Sansa Stark, finally understanding his manipulations, became the instrument of his downfall. The web he wove became a trap for him, showing that even the most meticulous schemes can be undone when others see through them. Littlefinger's story is a study of ambition unbound by morality. He was willing to betray anyone, including friends, lovers, and mentors, to achieve his goals. He did not value loyalty or honor except as tools to manipulate others. His ultimate goal was power itself, and he pursued it relentlessly. This ruthless focus allowed him to climb from a minor, overlooked nobleman to one of the most influential figures in Westeros. His ambition was patient, methodical, and cold, qualities that allowed him to survive longer than many of Westeros's more traditional players. Adaptability was another key to his success. Littlefinger could shift strategies, change alliances, and exploit unforeseen opportunities. While other players were constrained by family loyalty or a rigid sense of honor, Littlefinger's loyalty was to himself alone. This flexibility allowed him to survive in a world full of unpredictability, navigating political storms and sudden betrayals while steadily increasing his influence. Even so, his reliance on manipulation proved to be a double-edged sword. By making too many enemies and underestimating the intelligence of those around him, he left himself exposed. His death, orchestrated by Sansa and Arya, was the culmination of the many threads of deceit he had spun over decades. It highlighted a crucial lesson. Power built on deception is inherently unstable, especially when the deceived finally awaken. In the end, Littlefinger's control over Westeros was never about armies or dragons. It was about minds. He manipulated the desires, fears, and ambitions of those around him, turning chaos into opportunity and secrets into leverage. He showed that true influence often lies not in what you command openly but in what you can shape unseen. Kings and queens fought for thrones, but Littlefinger understood that the real throne was the one behind the curtain, where perception, information, and cunning determined the outcome of every battle. His life is a testament to the power of patience, intelligence, and subtlety. He moved in the shadows, pulling the strings that guided the events of Westeros for decades. Though he eventually fell, His rise demonstrated that true mastery comes not from brute strength or noble birth, but from understanding people, predicting their actions, and shaping events to your advantage. Littlefinger's story reminds us that sometimes the most dangerous figure in the Game of Thrones is the one you never see coming, the invisible hand controlling the world behind the scenes. And that brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we will see you in the next one.